Today we're going to talk about the Great Awakening in Consciousness, what it is, and how to use it to your advantage. We have talked before about the yin and the yang, how the shadow side has a purpose in teaching you who you are. Right now on the planet, we're in the midst of all the Earth's karma coming up. This is true on an individual level as well as a global level. The light and dark both play a massive role in this process. As we move forward in 2020, we're learning that our old systems are not working. We can put our awareness on the doom and gloom, which serves its purpose to awaken your consciousness, and the fact that we have allowed other beings to manipulate our frequency. This has been done for centuries, but most relevant to you in this lifetime, we can look into the media as well as Hollywood. In the last few videos, we've learned about frequencies and vibration. We also know that sound plays a large part in this. It's obvious that sound carries frequency. I can bring you up in vibration by telling you how to hold your power, and I can also pull your vibration down by making you feel anxiety and sadness about things that might bring you into fear. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with scary movies. For those of you that know me, you'll know that I was into video production, and my dream was to become a big Hollywood producer and create scary movies. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. However, I learned later that what I was seeing and hearing in my mediumship was a lot of scary stuff. I didn't realize that I was manifesting it. When I was about 4 years old, I lived in a small town, and I was at my friend's house. She had two older sisters that loved watching scary movies, and the movie Poltergeist was on. I know. I watched what I could before fear took over, and then we left. Because it was a really small town, her dad owned a little chapel on their property. I honestly thought that he was a preacher at the time. We ran into the chapel, and I remember it being a beautiful day. The sun was shining through the stained glass. We ran up and down the pews and laughed. All of a sudden, I heard this loud chanting and a bunch of ruckus. At the time, I didn't know what chanting was. I kept asking my friend what that sound was, and I was asking her to turn down the speakers because I swore that's where it was coming from. No one was there but the two of us. She insisted that she wasn't hearing anything and that I was making things up. I ran out of the chapel so fast that I didn't know what hit me. My fear from the movie had taken over, and I interpreted what I thought was evil. I then became obsessed with scary movies, and my ability to focus on positive vibrations was cut short at an extremely young age. I watched more and more scary movies to try to figure out what it was that I was feeling and hearing. I would sneak behind the couch while my older brothers watched movies like The Exorcist, and my fear of the world and negative beings grew more intense. As I grew into a young adult, I told my mom the story. I remember how her eyes got really wide and she said, "Jamie, do you know what her dad did? He was the coroner and he owned a small funeral home. I was hearing the voices of the people that had passed away, and they were in the basement right underneath me." Remember how I told you that I became a Buddhist disciple in my adulthood? The chanting sounds were the monks on top of that trying to help me overcome my fear. My higher self knew that this was my comfort, but I didn't know it at the time, until I walked into the Buddhist temple later on in life. I lost it when I heard that. It was exactly the same sound that I was hearing as a child. I took it in a negative way back then, and therefore shut my mediumship down because I feared not being able to control who was coming through. I thought all beings that had passed away were the same vibration as the scary movies that I had been watching. This was so far from the truth. Now I realized that I was seeing the yin and the yang, the dark and the light, to later bring me to this point. It was easier for me back then to feel the negative or the dark side in order to know that there was an opposite. I want to help you release that negative stigma now about the dark and the light to help you realize your true potential. All I had to do was let go of fear, and that I could have been having a great old time. I learned that I have the power to raise my vibration so that I can control who can come forward and who can't. I also learned how to release those who died in fear in order to help them find their way into the light. Now, this is how Hollywood and the media work together to keep you in fear. The name Hollywood was created because of the wands that were used in magic back then. They were made from the holly tree, that's why it's named Hollywood. Now, it doesn't mean that everyone involved in Hollywood are negative, but you see what's coming out of the shadows in regards to all of that right now. Your consciousness was hacked in order for a few negative beings to use your awareness to create their power. You're more powerful than you know. What would happen if everyone knew this and walked away from allowing them to keep you in fear? Does it make sense now as to why these things keep coming up? It's hilarious when you step back and look at it. If you don't know what I'm talking about here, please do your own research. This is very carefully manipulated to control your emotions in order to use your power to manifest what they want. Yes, there are negative beings on this planet, and you're all seeing that now. You're seeing that now because the Earth is raising up in vibration. Because we are all connected to that, our vibration is also being raised up, and it's being raised up so fast that we're getting uncomfortable. This is why the collective is showing you its shadow side, in order to learn from it. My intent is not to leave you in the negative mindset, but to help you understand that we've been sleeping, and now that it's being brought up for us to observe, we are waking up. This is what's called the Great Awakening. Other cultures have talked about this for centuries. They've also said that you are the ones that you've been waiting for. Yes, you're waking up and realizing that you are the creator. I want you to understand that this is an awesome thing. It's easy to see the negative, but as we've talked about before, shift your awareness on the fact that it's happening to you to end your suffering. Suffering is caused by your own mindset, and it can be easily shifted back over to the fact that your power is now being given back to you. This is what I mean by ascendance. You are now able to see where you're headed, and you can manifest your life to be positive in order to create your dream life. Please comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss anything, because we're moving fast. Welcome to your ascendance. See you on the next video.